the ninja.
Would you like to share a poem? Is there a poem that you have in your mind right now that you'd like to just drop?
What could I do? How long should it be? That's the question.
Hey, whatever you comfortable with, my man.
Oh, I'm comfortable with anything. That's why I'm at. I don't take up too much time. That's why.
So have you done one recently? Your most recent one?
Yeah, I just posted one yesterday.
You can drop that.
I could do that.
Yeah.
So it's called Free Will.
Oh, I love it.
We keep hearing how Mr. Floyd wasn't a great choice for our mission, yet he made no voluntary decision when he was forced to eternal rest. As he drew his last breath, he didn't think, I am the movement. He was worried his life would be over too soon and how the officer couldn't be bothered. If he moved his knee, the situation would have ended fast. Yet all you seem to worry about is Mr. Floyd's past. So if we call attention to other names, will that get you more enticed? Perhaps we can emphasize the loss of one Tamir Rice. Would you raise a fist with us and stand if instead we chanted more loudly the name of Sandra Bland? Or we could use the image of one Breonna Taylor, who to this day the system continues to fail her. Or would our calls for justice have more of an appeal if we focused on the tragedy of Philando Castile? Sadly, there are many names. So how can we gain your support to lend us your voice? Because unlike Mr. Floyd, you actually have a choice.
Peace, now. Peace. Yeah, that was wonderful.
Thank you. Wow, that was what's it called? Conscious Lee. He stitched a video. He responded to someone else saying like, "Oh, George Floyd wasn't a good choice," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like this, it just triggered an idea in my brain for a video, for a poem, because I was just like, "You can't be serious! Like no one chose anyone for this movement." And the fact that you say that just shows your ignorance.
Exactly. There's a ramification from action, and the action that occurred to him happens to be the riots, the protests, the insight on what America is doing from a justice system standpoint. The way we are looking at each other in America as Americans and outside of America. Well, you guys all seen the protests that were going on in London and Brazil, and I mean it was worldwide, man. I mean there is an intellectual movement happening, and it's going to cause people to either love one another more or maybe inch a little closer to that love, but the hate. Right. I really see it. It's getting thinner and thinner because it's getting exposed more.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's the thing. And George Floyd was just that spark in a weird way. It wasn't. It's been going. You obviously don't have to explain to you.
Sure. No, you good.
But like for me personally, what I really became. I don't know, I guess invested in working on this issue was when I learned the story of Emmett Till. I don't know why, but that story just impacted me on such a different level.
Was it his age?
And it's the same.
Was it his age?
That's probably a lot to do with it. But it's also just, so interestingly enough, I've been thinking about this a lot. There's a lot of similarities between what the Black community in the U.S. and the Sikh community in India have experienced by their governments.
Good point.
And so I empathize and understand a lot because I'm reading these books. Actually, there was a series of events, specifically in 1984, where the Indian government attacked the Sikh community.
Really?
Yeah, no one knows about it because they blocked out media from being in the area to record and share this tragedy, these attacks.
What?
Yeah, dude, they were so insidious with how they did it. They were just not letting any media in. They weren't even letting people like the Red Cross to come, deal with any of the wounded and everything like that. Like they're just hiding so much information and so much data. There's little record of how many people were killed. It's just based on eyewitness accounts and testimonies because they weren't, noting the deaths. They were just removing the bodies. And so So again, there's a lot of similarities. We've been hunted and targeted by our government since almost inception of the faith. And so there's a lot that I connect with when I hear, the Black community talk about these issues that they experience and they have experienced, and the history and everything that I've become familiar with over the years. And I'm just thinking, man, like, I get it, because my people have just experienced that same just focused target on almost extinction, essentially. Like, that's kind of what it feels like they're going for. And so, yeah, it's something I'm actually going to make a video on eventually, because there's a lot of things that they kind of parallel in a lot of ways, and how the governments kind of just suck.
Yeah, there you go. 1984?
Yes.
I'm gonna look that up. Man.
Yeah, there's.
I'm a history nut.
So I have several books. If you look up Operation Blue Star.
Operation Blue Star.
Yeah, that's the name of the attack on the Golden Temple. So here's the other tricky thing. Most of the stuff I found out online is clearly like government biased.
It's been
stuff.
On, man. Oy.
So that's why I got all these books, because I have 7-8 books, because I was just like, I'm reading this, and even reports from other countries, like I think BBC had a report, and I'm just like, that's not the way they talk, the language they use. I'm like, you clearly are biased towards the government, because they're like, it's a whole lot of and it's a lot, because it started, technically it started way before, but after partition, once India got its rule, sorry, it was a phone.
You fine?
I don't know who the number is.
It'll be all right.
But after India got freedom from British rule, Sikhs were promised certain things. They were not fulfilled. And, the government kind of just had its way and did what it wants. And then, so Sikhs started to resist. This is a totally oversimplified, brief, abridged version, but they started to resist. They would protest. And then it just culminated in 1984 with this attack on the Golden Temple, which was to remove militant extremists.
Well, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. And then, so in retaliation, 2 of the prime minister's bodyguards killed her later on in the year.
What?
They were sick, so they retaliated against the prime minister for these attacks, and they killed her. I'm not justifying that attack, but again, an action has a reaction. You attacked our holy shrine. You don't think people are going to be pissed? Really? And then, so after that, though, there were riots in the streets hunting Sikhs.
Jeez.
Houses were being marked, so people knew that this was a home of Sikhs. People were being ripped out of their homes, assaulted, beaten, set on fire. They were just women, and were being sexually assaulted.
Right.
It was it was a massacre for 6-7 days throughout some cities in India. And again, media being blocked out, so no one can,
who knows?
Bodies are just being burned en masse to get cremated, so they can't keep record and everything like that. The crematoriums, there are reports from these books. There are reports from the crematoriums of how they were just over flooded with there were too many bodies that they had to take care of. It was just, it's horrific.
I'm in awe. I'm sitting here with my mouth open, folks. I'm just like, what?
And then it continued. They still would attack anybody that tried to speak out against it and tried to address these issues. There's certain human rights activists that just go disappear. Again, sound familiar?
Jeez,
detained, assaulted, tortured, killed. These are the styles of the Indian government.
Wow. I thought the Kashmir thing was bad. Dude. What in the world?
Yeah. And once I finish reading all these books, I will definitely make a whole series on it, because it'll take, I imagine, at least 6 to 10 videos to cover everything.
Dude, I'm about to interview you per book.
Oh, yeah. I just finished one. It was 89 pages, so it was really concise.
That's not bad. Yeah.
But it was great. It had all the information. It went through what happened before, what happened during, what happened after. It has charts too, which is cool. It gives you numbers and information.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I would love to discuss that book. I'm actually doing an IG Live with a friend who's reading the book as well, and we're just going to discuss, what we both ascertained from it.
Awesome. What's the name of the book?
Shoot, what is it called?
Are you
It
fine?
is called. Did I put it over here?
I want to check this out.
I think it's called 1984 Lost History by Gunisha Kaur. Gunisha.
Uh-huh.
And then Kaur is Kaur.
K-U-R.
I'm going to double check that this is the right book.
Gotcha. Oh, buddy. I got some stuff to research. I like that.
Lost in History, 1984 Reconstructed. That's the official title.
Lost in History.
I'll even send you the link because I purchased it off Amazon.
Perfect. Yeah, I would love to check that out.
Yeah, it's a great book. It's really, like I said, it's really short too. So it's not a. The other books I got are lengthy, so I'm not a big reader. So they're a bit of an endeavor, but for me, it's worth it.
That's what's up, man. I mean, if you like, dude, I would like to invite you back so you can talk more in detail about what happened in 1984. I mean, I guarantee you. And I taught world history, man. I never heard of that from high school on through college, teaching, looking at never, ever.
And it's funny, kind of, that you mentioned like being a teacher, because something I was thinking about was how people are talking about removing these statues are erasing history.
Yeah.
I was like, no, you know what's erasing history? Not teaching it. Like these kinds of things. Like the fact that I just learned recently, some economists did a estimation of how much resources and everything was taken out from India by the British. It equates to $45 trillion in today's currency. 45 trillion.
I'm normally not speechless, but what?
And that's just money. That's just like, materialistic value. That's not even considering all the art of like just everything they.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, the empires that were there. I mean, there was there was a bunch of them, but and on top of that, the people. Yeah. The system that the British colonialism implemented in India that during a couple hundred years, wasn't it? It was like
they reinforced the idea of colorism in India.
Yeah,
they literally gave preference to lighter-skinned Indians. They it was there kind of just because of the natural order of like the caste system, and people who were lower in caste were working outside, so they're darker. So it's kind of associative. But they've like established a difference between the people. And they were like, oh, no, like, you're light skinned, so you can come, like, work here, and you stay working there. And I was just like, geez. And, like, something that you might not know, so there was a Sikh king, actually. His name was Maharaja Ranjit Singh. He ruled before British rule in the 1800s. And there were some invasions that led to his demise. But he had a son, 10 years old. And his son was abducted by the British. And they took him back to England, raised him as a Christian, wouldn't let him see his mother for years. And he was the rightful king of this empire.
Whoa.
He's known as the Black Prince. If you look that up, you'll see. Dalip Singh, which I don't know how they spell it online, but the Black Prince, it'll come up. Jeez. Black Prince of India. But it's the stuff that has happened. And for some reason, I stumbled on like British TikToks somehow. Like I see people talking about the empire and like how good it is. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm sure it's done some good, but really, how can you compare it to the damage it has done? That was just one country I talked about. That was just India.
One country.
Yeah.
Jesus, man. That's amazing. That is amazing.
So when people talk about erasing history, I'm like, yeah, if we don't teach that history, then it's erased because you didn't even know about it. And
no clue. And I love learning about history. I love it. I've been curious for years about the civilization around the Indus River near Pakistan, right? Because they're having last I checked, archaeologists are having a hard time understanding what civilization was there before they moved north. And I was really curious about that because some people want to label that as what became the Aryan quote unquote race of people. But I mean, I'm very curious about history. I have never, ever, ever heard about those days in 1984.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's
That's amazing.
a gruesome story just to prepare you. Because okay, the last thing about that attack in June,
Mm.
it was done during a time, one of the holiest times in the Sikh faith.
Come on, man.
So the Golden Temple, if you saw my video, thousands of people visit daily
Mm-hmm.
on regular days. But now you make it a special day of remembrance.
Mm-hmm.
Almost, if not more than 100,000 people are going to be visiting there.
Jeez. It's kind of like the
So-
Hajj. Is it like the Hajj kind of thing, or?
So we had 10 gurus who are like our messengers, our teachers. And the fifth guru was our first guru that was martyred. He was killed defending our faith.
Oh.
So it was his martyrdom anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an important time for us. And they know that. There's no way the Indian government didn't know that.
Yeah, right.
'Cause like I said, they claimed it was to remove these militaristic terrorists, but there's evidence that they planned it a year in advance. And they even constructed like a kind of like model to practice, to rehearse, to plan out the blueprints for what the attack was going to be. This was all done in advance. So whether they were there or not, it probably would have happened anyway. So if you ever see online saying like, oh, it was in response to, that's a load of garbage.
You mean to tell me the Indian government set up a special ops program to assassinate one of your leaders? Well, of your faith, that is. One of the gurus.
Well, our gurus were ran from the 1st to the 10th by the 1700s. So this was just a new leader, a new person that was coming up in the movement for Sikh rights.
Gotcha. But he wasn't.
So, yeah.
He wasn't a threat.
I mean, he was a threat to them because
Well,
he was gaining popularity.
Not militarily though, but he was conducting a movement.
Yeah, he was working for Sikh rights. So a big thing for them was after India got freedom from Britain, they were establishing the lands, and whatever land was kind of the predominant language was established as the primary language, because there's so many languages and sects. So like this state gets this language as its official language, but with Punjab, which is where most Sikhs exist, they didn't do that. They didn't give us even that official language. They made like a co-language with Hindi. And so that was one fight, which we eventually got. And then they divided Punjab up into like 3 different parts. And so Punjab, by the way, it roughly translates to land of 5 rivers.
Huh.
There are 5 rivers in Punjab. So Punjab is a huge agricultural state.
Yes.
And so they divvied up this land, and then the resources of the water were being used for other lands primarily, instead of for Punjab, which is an agricultural like monster that needs water. And they're like, nah, we're just gonna use it for like that state over there. You guys can get like whatever's left over, kind of thing. So they were slowly stripping us of everything that we needed to thrive. Because like a good percentage of Punjabis are farmers, and so like if they don't have water, they can't farm.
Yeah,
like
that's the foundation.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So
gosh.
they were just taking everything away, and then so obviously someone was like, "Well, this is not right," and they started to gain power, started to inspire people like, "Hey, we need to really do something." So there were protests, and again, he's gaining more popularity, gaining more power.
Right.
Why would a government ever like someone gaining power and popularity amongst the people?
Why ever would they do that? Gosh, I think almost every time in history when that comes about, excuse me, that person is eliminated.
Yeah.
Whether it be physically, whether it be socially, they were eliminated. They were taken out of society. It's amazing. So we have to grow exponentially.
Yeah.
Right? So they can't kill us off. There'll be too many of us. That's where we got to be.
And so one of the other things that there's so many inconsistencies with their claim of this was a defensive reactionary attack, because they attacked other Sikh temples, other gurdwaras.
They were targeting
on the same day. They were also attacked.
What?
So yeah, it was totally reactionary because they somehow existed also in the other gurdwaras. Like, what are you talking about?
Dude, man.
And then they also burned our libraries, just our library in that Golden Temple. They just burned it. They just got rid of all the reference texts and everything. What was the need for that? Just like there's so many inconsistencies with their story.
Holy shit.
Not to mention, again, all the eyewitness accounts of people who said they saw people coming out, led by police with their arms tied behind their back, using the guys' turbans. Using the men's turbans, they tied their own arms behind their back. The police would do this. The Indian government, the military, whatever. It's like the biggest thing of disrespect. It's just...
Yeah, because that's a very, very important piece of who you are as a Sikh. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't explain that actually. If you want me to, I can explain it.
Please, absolutely.
So, other cultures wear turbans and other kind of headwears. I'm sure you're familiar. So Sikhs adopted the turban for their own purpose because at the time, in the 15 to 1700 time period, there were kings, obviously, and those kings wore these turbans like crowns. And our gurus were thinking, well, we're all equal and we're all God's beautiful royal creations. So we should all wear these crowns. So it's a symbol of devotion and a symbol of equality amongst the Sikhs.
Yeah, see, why would you utilize that in a way to bind somebody's? Because
it was all malicious. It was all intentional to decimate and destroy the spirit of our community.
Totally.
Again, much like they did with the black community, especially in the 60s.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. Gosh, yeah. Heck yeah. Jim Crow and all that good stuff. And they did the same thing to the the Polynesians. They did the same thing to a lot of different tribes in South America. I ain't talking about the Mayans and the Aztecs. I'm talking about the small tribes that lived in the mountains and the Amazon and things of that nature. It's amazing. Amazing. It was global domination, ultimately.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And some people still just... There's so much to this. Like, when people are like, oh, I've had people... So this happened in 84, right? Not that long ago.
No, not really.
And I've still had people say to me, like, oh, move on. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I have friends whose parents escaped. They were hiding. They literally escaped India during that time, during the riots in November of 84. They were in hiding, and then they finally fled to the U.S. I have friends whose parents would live through that. My grandfather's 93 years old. Fortunately, he didn't, wasn't involved, in the spaces where these events were occurring.
Right.
God, thank gosh. And same with my parents. Like, they were fortunately not in those cities.
Yeah.
But they lived through it. Like, they existed in that time period. This isn't that far beyond our comprehension.
Right.
We have literally eyewitness accounts of people who are still alive today who can share those eyewitness accounts. So, don't come at me with your move on.
Yeah, stop. What does that even mean? I mean, nobody seems to really expound on that premise.
That's true.
Move on. Move on to what exactly? How do you want me to feel about this? Because you already don't understand the feeling. So what are you telling me to remove myself from? And where am I supposed to go with it? Move on to what? You know what I'm saying? To amnesia? No, I'm not. No.
Yeah, it's the same conversation with when people say don't talk about racism. I'm going, I'm like, that doesn't erase all the racists.
Don't talk about oxygen. Doesn't mean you won't need it. I mean,
that's the biggest thing I say to someone when they say that to me. I go, okay, so here I am telling a racist to stop being racist. Okay, wait, I'll stop talking about it. Are they going to stop talking about it? Are they going to stop telling me to don't blow up anything or whatever racist comment they're going to make?
Ridiculousness, yeah, exactly.
Like, no, it's not going to stop them. Why don't you tell them to stop? Why is it you're telling me instead of them? Genuine question. Have you ever asked a racist to not bring up race? Ask a racist to not bring up race and see what happens. And if they say sure, I'll stop. I will 100% stop. If they can stop, I can stop.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I think that's pretty freaking fair.
If I never brought it up, I wouldn't have to either.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Oh my gosh. It's a two-way street, folks. And the beginning of the road started with somebody else. I'm just saying. You're asking the tenants to tear down the house. They didn't build the house.
Ooh, there you go.
They didn't build a house. They just merely lived there. Oh, well. Hey, brother, I really appreciate you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you too, man. I enjoy your videos a lot.
Thank you.
Because you and several others express yourselves towards people in ways that I want to, but then I take control of myself, and I'm like, wait, I got to address this in my way, not just... Yes. It's not in me to react. I want to so badly, but I personally don't feel like that works for me. Right. For some people, it's what they do, and like I have all the respect for guys like T. Nathan and Consciously, because they don't care, and I love it.
They go in.
I need them. They're my vessels for that kind of energy. But me, I'm like, I got to script my stuff out. I got to plan. I got to really make this message crisp.
And it's crisp, bro. If folks, if you haven't followed his profile, man, just get on TikTok, follow my man. Now I'll have your profile laid out on the screen.
Okay, cool.
When I do that,
yeah, sounds good.
And if you have any links, bro, send them to me. Because I know since you perform and things of that nature, you probably have some more material out there. So
yeah, I have some stuff on my YouTube page, not a lot. But I can send you what I do have and what's there. Yeah, sounds good. I appreciate this, man. And
bro.
Definitely would love to come back on to talk about the books.
Yes, we're doing a 1984 episode. I see it already. Oh, my goodness. It is happening.
I love it, dude. This platform means the world to me, just having a voice. I don't know how many people listen, but I don't even care in that way. Like, I don't need 3,000 people, 80,000 people. I just need 7. I performed in a laundry room for 2 people.
What?
My college's dorm, they were like, this organization was holding an event.
Yeah.
And they asked me to perform. I was like, okay, sure, whatever. Like, this was really early because it was just started writing. So I took any opportunity to perform. And it was, maybe 5 people, but we were in the laundry room because there was like another space. Yeah, and I was just like, freaking, I love this. 5 people sitting maybe 3 feet away from me. Okay, perfect. I have your attention.
Exactly.
Let's do this.
That's true. You can't get no more personal than that, man.
I performed in a lot of interesting spaces, honestly.
My man said a laundry room with 5 people. That's dedication. I don't care what.
No,
Respect. I love that, man. That's dedication right there. You love your craft, and it shows.
No doubt. Thank you.
No doubt.
That's what it's mostly about for me. I mean, obviously I want success and I want to make this a full-time profession. It's incredibly important to me, but if I can continue to put out my work and have people resonate with it the way people have on TikTok especially, that's the best gift. Because at one point I didn't think my voice mattered at all. Period, point blank, was not of any value. So the fact that it has value to people, I'm grateful.
It's a blessing, my man. You're doing the right thing.
Thank you.
Doing the right thing. Nav?
Nuv.
Like love, Nuv.
Yep, there we go.
Nuv, I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, you too, man. Thank you so much.
No doubt. And I'll check you out on TikTok.
Sounds good. Take care.
Peace, brother.
Bye.
So that was our man, Nuv. That was an awesome interview. And yes, we are going to do a 1984 interview with him, kind of like almost like a book review. And I took down some information about this topic, and I'm going to do my own research because this is extremely interesting to me. Atrocities in India aren't talked about that much. So thanks, TikTokers. It's been a pleasure, and anyone listening to the Duet Ninja podcast, we really appreciate you guys. And this is where you need to go for actual realness. All right, good. This is what the Duet Ninja podcast is about: real people, real issues, and real togetherness. Y'all hold it down.
Ninja warriors, the powers they hold are legendary.